dun, 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 dun. Guess what it is tonight? You're in luck. It's Old Mom Monday night. Normally it's Old Mom Sunday night, but there was so much happening yesterday, I couldn't even do it. But I didn't want you to miss your chance to have Old Mom Sunday night. So voila, I'm here. My husband is back. My family has a sixth sense. It's like if I try to do anything, they can't stay away. And then what they do is listen to me and judge me. They'll be like, well, I really don't think you should be talking about that. Do I go into the courthouse and tell my husband what he should say to the judge? No. Do I go into my child's school and tell my daughter what she should say to the teacher? No, I don't. You're on your own. Oh, we had a really good video last night on alcohol. And that was exciting. I thought it was nice. Yes, it's a pickleball sweatshirt. Go ahead. Get excited. I thought it was popsicles when I bought it. You're the old mom here. Oh, I kind of feel old momish. Yeah, so it's kind of a exciting day. What did I do today? Well, I exercised, which was a big deal. I haven't done that in like a year. But the problem is when you exercise, when are you supposed to shower? One, it takes forever. I shower at night because I take a shower with Amos so I can wash his hair. Blah, 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 blah. But that means I walked around all day, and my friend Mary Scott said I looked like I was playing tennis, other than the fur Crocs that I wore out to lunch. I didn't even take a nap. I would just like to say that. Maybe this walk I took gave me energy. Tomorrow we are going to Duke for an eye appointment for my son Amos, who's 9, and he wears glasses, though currently I don't think we even have one pair. They've all been broken or destroyed. Yep. It's Sirree Bobby. So that's exciting. And got the dog a bath. I was like, this is going to be great. The dog's going to be clean, his service dog. We're going to go. So we go on the boat ride. We go tubing this afternoon. It's pretty cold here. The water is cold. And the dog is jumping from the boat to the dock. She falls in the water, which she has done before, but she was very clean. So we got her fur Crocs. Is it cold? Well, no, that was the only pair of shoes that I had downstairs. I have taken just to wearing whatever shoes I see. And I had the friend this weekend. More than one. I had a friend this weekend. And we were in pajamas at a coronation party. And she was like, I just don't know how you go to the dollar store in your pajamas. She was going to go all the way back home to put on clothes because she didn't want to walk in the dollar store. I go in the dollar store with no shoes on, pajamas, no bra. I mean, I look ridiculous, and I have no problems with it. Teacher, counting down. 20 days of school left. 20 days of school. This is so exciting. I don't know why I like school to get out, because then I'm cussing everyone within 2 days. True story. True story. I love for school to be out. How are you doing with Amos and the iPad? Amos hasn't used an iPad in over a year. I had the iPad that I had ordered him that I promptly broke. I use it as my note. It's like a notebook. I don't have to print out paper. I'm really against printing out paper. Now at Food Lion, they print out coupons to tell you what you have coupons for. So then the credit shows up when you use your MVP card. But why not just give you the frickin' credit for your MVP card without printing out the coupons? You would die if you saw someone. I can't imagine who I would have to see to be embarrassed. Yeah, nobody. I can't think of anyone. You have extended school year. We don't have extended school year here. If we did, we'd go. No, Amos is excited for summer. But we truthfully struggle on the weekends. So the summer is like a very long, long weekend. How much sleep do you get each night? Probably 6 hours. I need 10. I get 6, I need 10. But this week I'm headed to Wilmington. I'm speaking at the North Carolina Autism Society. I'm supposed to send in my slides. Fundraiser on Thursday night. It's my dad's birthday, so my mom and dad are coming. And my dad's business partner and his wife. And my good friend Paula. And my other friend named Erin. So that's really exciting. I'll wear a bra to that, I promise. I'm also going to try not to talk about New Hanover County's. Why is there a freaky bear waving at me? New Hanover County's real problem with service dogs. Dr. Faust, who loves Gucci shoes. Why do my children call me? I mean, I have one that has called me now, like every night, which is suspicious. But it might be because I sent the other one a photo of that one in a pink tutu, because the one was annoying the other one, and he said, I need some bad pictures of him, so I sent them. But the younger one, who asked for the pictures, hasn't talked to me in like 3 weeks. And I said, I'd like to talk to you. And he said, school's out in a month. Let's catch up then. I thought you just talked about autism. No, what are we, like the boy in the bubble? Am I not allowed to talk about anything else? No, I talk about a lot of stuff. In fact, you're in luck tonight, because we're going to talk a little bit about my faith. So I am being, what if you ran into Mark Robinson? Oh, I'd be really excited if I didn't have on a bra then. I am being, I keep wanting to say indoctrinated, confirmed in the Episcopal Church in June by Bishop Skirving. So my husband and I got married in our church, and we've been married 20 years. And I have taught Sunday school for a long time, but I've never gotten confirmed. And the other day I was like, am I getting confirmed for the right reasons? I hope I am. Well, do you remember when Meghan and Harry got married? Or I like to call them Hagan and Mary. Harry and Meghan got married. And they had Bishop Curry was their, Bishop Curry was the bishop. And he gave their sermon at their wedding. Me like him. So we're going to share a little bit about Bishop Curry tonight. Because yesterday I went to hear Franklin Graham, and everybody's going crazy because, it's like people would just come out of the woodwork, that they become like the sin experts. I call them the sexperts. You heard that here first. The sexperts. The sexperts just they feel like it is their job to micromanage everything related to sex. Now, I'm going to just tell you something right now. I have a lot bigger issues. I have a lot more fish to fry, like guns. We had a shooting during the softball game here a week ago. We've got my police department put up a photo of somebody's car who they said they stole a turtle from a pond. I mean, these are big things to me. Talk about how your family created generational wealth. They did? I don't notice. Do I have generational wealth? I guess we'll have to see. My goal is to spend every penny I make so that my children get nothing. No, just kidding. But maybe not. But anyway, I have big fish to fry. Big fish to fry. And if you don't want to hear about this, I'm going to tell you what you can do. I want you to take your index finger or your pinky, and I want you to take the finger, and I want you to go like this, and I want you to hit the goodbye button. It's a really easy button, and then you can just sail off into the distance. Yes, I do. But if you're still here, alas, you shall hear from me. A turtle from the pond. What kind of turtle? How come everybody always asks what kind of turtle it was that got stolen? A snapping turtle. I don't know, a turtle. A zillion hundred turtles. So last night, I took Amos and went with a friend, and we went to hear Franklin Graham. Because I heard 10,000 people are coming to town. There's a revival. And I've never been to a revival. And I want to go. So we pile Amos in the car, which is not easy. And we haul out and go. Now, we get there. And at the time, I don't know that he's only going to talk for 25 minutes. 25 minutes. It evidently cost upwards of $300,000 to like put this whole thing on, and he talks for 25 minutes. I guess that's, it's not my money. It's whoever's given money for Frankie Graham. Maybe you give it a Good Samaritan's Purse or the Billy Graham organization. So just know that some of your money hosted a fun thing last night for 25 minutes. So anyway, I actually was there the whole time. A Ninja Turtle. Okay, that's really, you're a subscriber. I knew it. Got my best comments for subscribers. Why would someone steal a turtle? Well, that's the point. It was not stolen. My husband's a criminal defense attorney, and I said, how would you defend somebody that stole a turtle? He said, well, the first thing I would do is point out that there's no such thing as a turtle larceny. Because it's a turtle. Okay. Y'all are distracting me. Seriously. So we get there, and I listened for 25 minutes to Frankie. Now, I've got Amos, who is walking around this group of 8,000 people, I'm going to guess 3,200. I do find it really interesting that nobody had the clicker to like count how many people came in. Seems very suspicious to me. People want to talk about your old money. I don't have any old money. My parents moved to North Carolina, and they had a Volkswagen Bug, 1972 one. It was the year 1969. It was 1973. 1971. And they had a 6-foot U-Haul trailer, and as my mother likes to say, it wasn't full. My dad went to borrow some money so they could get coffee table and a couch, and the bank wouldn't lend it to them. True story. But anyway, so I hear this talking. And when somebody was like, well, why did you go? And the reason I went is because, one, I wanted to see that many people, 10,000 people. And two, I wanted to, if I were really of the devil, you know what I would do? I would turn it off so y'all couldn't comment. Nothing like makes me madder than if I can't comment. It's so annoying. So anyway, I really wanted to go because sometimes I think Linda's heard it twice, not again. Well, Linda, then you just go night-night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay? Okay. Sometimes left-wing, well, it could be right-wing media, but I'm talking about left-wing media. Sometimes the left loves to proselytize like drama. And so I really thought that I was going to go and hear about Jesus. That's what I thought. So I was surprised when I got in there. Can somebody comment that if they have no sound, go out and come back in? I mean, I feel like I'm going to get that tattoo. I'm going to get a shirt, and I'm going to write it on the shirt in backward letters so people can see it. And I was surprised. I hadn't been there. I had made it halfway around to the porta potties that I would like to say there were quite a few, and I have never had a porta potty labeled men, women. Aren't porta johns like craps? And men and women. Of course, Amos won the woman one. I was like, how about it? So, and I hear marriage, and then I hear, and if you're homosexual, and then I hear the crowd go, "Why you?" They were legit cheering. And I thought, that's weird. And then my next thought, because I have a sick, twisted sense of humor, my next thought was I was walking with my friend, my very good friend, Mary Scott. This is not meant to offend anybody. And the nicer ones are labeled. They weren't any nice porta johns. They were the same old blue crap plastic that they got everywhere. I mean, they're nothing nice. My thought was, if I had enough balls, I would lean over and lay a big old kiss on my friend Mary Scott. Oh yeah, that really was. I can't help myself. My mind just goes to these places. So, and then I hear, and you know, the politicians that are allowing people to be transgender, and you know, it's a lie, and you know, woo, yay, yay, yay. And then at that point, I thought, I wish I had like a big speakeasy in the woods, and then it said, Franklin, this is your father. I mean, I was laughing. And then we got to the abortions, and you're a murderer. And I was like, this is just downright depressing. I'm not gay. I'm not transgender. And I've never had an abortion. So, you know, I guess I was like supposed to be cheering. I don't know. But I thought to myself, in all seriousness, what about the person that's listening to this and feels so alone right this minute? What about the child that's here wondering, if God made me, what's wrong with me? Right? It goes down a quick path. And today I had a message from a minister who I consider a friend. And he said, do you have time to talk? And I said, yeah, I sure do. And I called him and we talked for about 45 minutes. And we just had the nicest conversation. I would say we're in pretty different churches. And he's a minister and I'm not. But we really agreed on an awful lot, and we talked about that kind of thing. I said, do you worry that people will think, if they saw you there, that they'll think, I'm not welcome in his church? And he said, yeah, I find that concerning. And he said, was there anything good that came out of today? And I said, well, good can come out of anything. God promises good out of everything to some degree. But I worry about the person that felt alone, because my heart went out to them as I was sitting there, which I think is why I've been so vocal, and people are like, oh my God, you're talking about this again. I don't ever want somebody to wonder if where I stand with reaching my hand out. And if you're on my blog, or you want to come to my weekend, or you want to come on my cruise, you are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome to be at my table, and you are welcome to join in fellowship, and you are welcome to tell your truth, and you will be loved. And I kept thinking about that today. And so then tonight, I was like, what does my bishop say? What does Bishop Curry say? Well, you know what I found? I was like, well, it's perfect that I'm an Episcopalian, because Bishop Curry and I, we're like this. We are tight. So here's what Bishop Curry said. We need to accept people for who they are. If God made them, then they are good enough for me. God made all of us equally in God's image and likeness, and that is how we need to behave to each other. That's been a dawning in the last 100 years. Somebody asked Bishop Curry the question, can you be gay and a Christ follower? Bishop Curry replied, I have no doubt and no question in my mind about where Jesus of Nazareth stood. Jesus of Nazareth was the one who taught us to love our neighbors as ourselves. Which I've been saying. I mean, the bishop and I, we're tight. Can you be gay and a Christ follower? I have no doubt and no question where Jesus of Nazareth stood on it. Bishop Curry is descended from slaves and sharecroppers in North Carolina and Alabama. And he's really shared a lot about his own background and how this commitment to be an inclusive church is so important. And he said, it is the Episcopal Church's belief that the outstretched arms of Jesus on the cross are the very sign of love, that God reaches out to all of us. And I love that, because as I heard homosexual and transgender and I heard the cheers go up, I didn't feel the arms reaching out. I felt fingers wagging, and I felt sad. I felt sad. The inclusion that is at the heart of the gospel, when we say, well, love the sinner, hate the sin. Let's one, again, I'm not the sin sexpert, so I'm more concerned about shootings and like pretty big things that happen that maybe I can do something about, what people are doing in their bedroom, I don't find that to be a concern. Honestly, it's not a concern for me. Transgender, how you identify in your mind, like this is not a concern. Am I concerned about people shooting while my high schoolers are at a softball game? Yes, that's a concern. So if you want to talk about what to do about that, I'm all there. But when we start becoming sexperts, sin experts, I just think, don't you have anything else to do? And I don't mean that like in a mean way. But I have a lot of crap to do. I mean, look right now what's on my desk. I have letters from my baby. It's first year. This is for my 17-and-a-half-year-old. I haven't started this, but if anybody wants to come over here and help me get some crap done, get your butt over here. So anyway, the inclusion that is at the heart of the gospel that welcomes gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people is the same inclusive, outstretched arms of Jesus that welcomes those who disagree with us. I believe that conversation, that open availability to each other face to face, is the way forward. I would encourage anyone to go and talk to your brother. Let him talk with you. Treat each other as brothers and sisters and siblings in Christ. So today, when this minister reached out to me and we had the nicest conversation, and we were brother and sister in Christ. I mean, it was wonderful to have this conversation and to think we can talk. We don't have to just, go crazy on Facebook, or we're not going to be a subscriber, or we're not going to follow her, or we're not going to do whatever. Like, we can have a conversation and kind of get to the bottom of things, I think. Bishop Curry said this. He is concerned about LGBTQ people who feel trapped between their faith and identity and the burden to choose between the two. And I think that's really important to talk about. He said, I realize we in the Christian community have hurt people. We have hurt the children of God. Much of the pain people have experienced has been imposed by the church, and we have done so as a society. We've got to figure out how to love each other and find a way. As the first Black person to serve as presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church, he just says, we're talking about equality in so many levels, and it's never been normative. Just really like that. Now, there's some thought that Billy Graham, was this amazing person, and Franklin Graham is different from him. And Billy Graham arguably was, whether he wanted to or not, he really moved Christianity and conservatives in this direction together. And he said in 2011 that he regretted that. And I thought that was so interesting. It was, or 2014, near the end of his life. And he said, 2011, he said, I wish I had steered clear of politics because I sometimes cross the line. So that was in 2011. But his son in 2014 or 2016 was saying, hold your nose and go vote for Trump, And in 2014, that same person said, I think the goal of LGBTQ individuals who adopt is to recruit children into their cause. These are dangerous statements. Dangerous statements. And there's a history of them. There's a history. At one point, Billy Graham had said that he thought the AIDS epidemic was a punishment by God himself, though later he retracted that and said he shouldn't have said that. So I guess what the minister and I said today that I thought was so interesting at the end was, we were talking about if you had 20 minutes to really talk to 8,000 people, or who we had 3,000 people, what would you say? So if you had 20 minutes to talk, what would you say? If I had 20 minutes, that's not true. What's not true? What I just said about Billy Graham? Well, it certainly is true. I mean, I listened to the preaching this afternoon, so yeah, it is true. He also said, "Let me say this loud and clear," he said to a young woman who wrote to him in 1974 confessing her love for another woman. Quote, "We traffic in homosexuality at the peril of our spiritual welfare." This was after he had claimed homosexuality to be a, quote, "sinister form of perversion that contributed to the decay of society." And it was in 1993, he was in Cooper Stadium in Columbus, Ohio, when he had 44,300 people, and he said, quote, "Is AIDS a judgment of God? I could not be sure, but I think so," end quote. Franklin Graham, who I heard yesterday, praised Putin, who he said, quote, "stood steadfastly against the rising homosexual agenda in their country." So whether you want it to be true or not. But anyway, this minister and I, we said, so if you had 20 minutes, would you have said that? And I think we both were like, no, I don't think we would have gone into homosexuals or transgenderism. Like, you have 25 minutes to make people know Christ and want to be a Christian. How do you do that? You know? How do you do it? How do you do it? And I think the other part of the conversation, which we saw, is that, well, this is not to be funny, but sex sells, right? Like, transgender, homosexuals, like, those are bullet points for fundraising. And there was a real keen thing on my subscriber group. They were like, well, there was no fundraising. There were no baskets going around. They don't take money. But the rest of the story is there was a fundraiser prior to the beginning of the event for the big donors. So if you think that there was no fundraising, you're wrong. So fundraising and Franklin Graham's mission are tied together. So there was fundraising there. It was a meet and greet, a very expensive meet and greet with Franklin Graham. So they're telling you we're not fundraising. I mean, I would say that's as much of a lie as it is saying there were 8,000 people there. He read the room, and that's what the crowd wanted to hear. I think it was to get another minister I talked to this morning. It was to take a marginalized group and make them feel more marginalized. It was divisive. It was divisive. And that group of people need to hear that they're loved more than anyone. And maybe it's me. Maybe other people went and said that's exactly what they heard. But as somebody just that was sitting there thinking, Lord, I hope there's nobody here that's listening to this message and goes home and says, you know what? I'm going to get that rope out of the garage and I'm going to tie it in my closet because I am not made in God's image. So I guess I don't think you need to tell people what sin is, or you need to decide. I think what your goal is to get people to Christ. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Just call me Forrest Gump. Because Adrienne is not a preacher. She's not going to pretend to be one. No. Now, she's not going to let Mark Robinson, who's running for North Carolina governor, be a preacher either. So I was real nice until he denounced he was running. And now you're going to be listening to me talk about Mark Robinson. Mm-hmm. You're going to be like, I'm not from North Carolina. Don't make me listen. Well, we're going to listen. We're going to talk about him every week. We're going to talk about why you shouldn't vote for Mark Robinson. Trust me. Just trust me. Because that's when you call people. He takes it a step further and just says, you're filth. That'll really make people feel good. It's a great way to pump up the crowd. And I don't want any people out there a misinterpretation of the scriptures. I'm Episcopalian, and this is what we believe. If you're a Christian Scientist, you can believe what you want. I'm Episcopalian. I'm in line with Bishop Curry. I'm good. Yes. So I'm perfectly fun. There are Mark Robinsons running all over the country. Well, I can tell you where they're not going to win is in North Carolina. His latest thing is calling the survivors of the Parkland shooting spoiled little brats who are like trying to use, what did he say? Might as well just finish up with this discussion because we're right here anyway, and it's already 10 o'clock. Yes, and I have a subscriber page. It's $5 a month, which I realize is too much for some people, and that is fine. I get that. But if you want to know how I do research and do these videos, it's because I have this as a job, and it's great. It's really fun to get hundreds of messages, and they're like, honey, you are so wrong. I'm going to send you a message, and you need to call me. Here's my number. I promise you I am not going to call you unless your name, you're very liberal, I can tell. No, I'm not liberal. No, I'm actually very conservative. I can't help that the Republicans in North Carolina have turned on my party. They want to waste all my money on school vouchers and charter schools. No, sirree, Bobby. I pay a lot in taxes. And I'm not going to let them do that. Mark Robinson. Let's see what the Google says here. Allowance. Okay. Oh, here it is. It's a wonder. He called them spoiled little bastards. That's what he called them. Is that not something? And the White House has chimed in. I don't know if I needed the White House to chime in. I guess they're trying to help him not win either. Not that I know who I want to win in the White House. Okay, let's see here. Mark Robinson. After the shootings, 2024, he's running for governor in 2024. The teenage survivors of the 2018 shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. These students were advocating for gun control measures. In post after the shooting, Robinson called the students, quote, spoiled, angry, know-it-all children, spoiled little bastards, and media prostitutes. In one post on Facebook, Robinson shared a photo of several students posing for photos with the caption, the look you get when you let the devil give you a ride on a river of blood to 15 minutes of Fameville. Did you just hear what I said? So he takes, I'm going to find it for you. He takes this picture of these students who survived the Parkland shooting. Okay, do you see it? And this is on his Facebook page. Okay. The look you get when you let the devil give you a ride on a river of blood to 15 minutes of Fameville. Right? He wants to be the governor of North Carolina. Nosy, nosy, no, no. No-ni, 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 no. Nope, nope, nope. And then on Twitter, he shared several like crying, laughing emojis in response to a post. And said when children get sassy, adults need to make sure they know their place. And then he talked about law enforcement during the shooting of students at Kent State. Do you remember this? During the Vietnam War, it was in May 1970. They called it the Kent State Massacre. And there was this, so Mark Robinson, a black and conservative. The white women, they love him because he thinks like them, but he's black, so they feel like they, are diverse. It's wonderful. I'm just so inclusive. I have a black friend. His name is Mark Robinson. I gave him $100 to be governor. He's going to be wonderful. He's just wonderful. He thinks just like me. I love it. We play canasta together on Tuesdays. He's wonderful. So he says this about the shooting at Kent State. We have the constitutional right to peacefully assemble. Now, peacefully assemble does not mean you could throw bricks at National Guardsmen, bust out windows, and block traffic. Once you cross that line into violence and the disruption of public transportation and public services and start blocking the entrances of a federal building, you are no longer a protester. You are now a criminal, and you need to be dealt with like a criminal. And we need some politicians in office, this is going to be him, in some of these cities that's going to let people know that is going to let people know from the get-go, you go in the street and block traffic, if you block buildings, if you destroy property, you're going to be dealt with swiftly and harshly. We are not going to tolerate it. Even though Nixon said in his report in 1970 that the shooting was unjustified. And they said even if the guardsmen faced danger, it was not a danger that called for lethal force. The 61 shots by 28 guardsmen cannot be justified. And then when students attended the March for Our Lives, which was obviously about guns, Robinson said that college-age students needed to put that sign down and go read a book, dummy. They live, they breathe, they procreate. Anyway. Old Mom Monday night. Big topic tonight. I mean, I've started exercising so I have energy to run for office someday. Because right now my necessary afternoon naps are really going to stand in my way. I feel like it's important. I have 3 teenagers at home, and I'm trying to raise them the best that I can and make sure that they always have a seat at their table. And in all seriousness, Candace Owens, oh my gosh. I mean, if Candace Owens weren't black, she would be doing nothing. Black and conservative, pretty woman equals successful. I mean, hello. I have a child with a disability, and I know what it's like to be excluded, or know what it's like for my child to be excluded. And I know what it's like to not be included. And it's not as hard for me. You know, it's not, I can't imagine if everywhere I went, people were always, other than Greg Locke, saying that Amos is possessed by the devil. Most people don't think autism is of the devil. But imagine if you lived your life always wondering if people were judging you, you know? And that makes me sad. And I want you to know that if you are my friend, or you're gay, or you're transgender, that I am not judging you. I love you. And I like you just like I like everybody else. And I am not, I got my own fish to fry. I don't need you over here worrying about my marriage or my kids or what I'm doing. And I'm not going to worry about you. I feel bad for your child. Oh, you do, Aaron? Oh. Well, then I guess I'll have to suspend you. Like Ursula the Sea Witch. Honey, you can't hurt my feelings. I've got all the balls on this page. Yes, I do. If I want to suspend you, I can ban you forever. I'll do it too. I had to ban one subscriber, and she couldn't reach out to me. But in my defense, she was terrible. She said, I can't remember, but it was bad. It's rare for me to ban a subscriber. I mean, I gotta take my 17 cents a day like I'm feeding, you know, my children with it. And I banned her. Well, then she couldn't reach out to me because she was banned. So then she sent a message to my hairdresser, Lori, you know, the one with the mouse. And she says to Lori, I want my $5 back. You know, she has banned me and I just paid. So I told Lori. Lori messaged her and said, I have been authorized to Venmo you the $5. But then she didn't go away. She's still lurking around. She didn't want her $5. Lesbian here. Thank you. Well, I'm glad you're here. And always, you should feel safe in this space. Now, it doesn't always feel like it. There are always going to be people that are just not loving. Jesus's arms on the cross. What does that look like? And you know, I might get to heaven someday, and God's going to say, Adrian, you really screwed up. I mean, I told you, I don't know where you were coming from. But then you know what I know he's going to say? I know that you had the best intentions. Look, now Mary Scott's scared. She said she's sweating listening to me talk. The mouse was funny. Carry on, people. So late. I gotta take people to the doctor tomorrow. It's back to real life for me. So when you think, well, what does she do all day? I actually do stuff. I mean, I'm now exercising. Carry on.